All right, we're live. What's up, everyone? Thanks for checking out another episode of FHW Radio. I'm Jim. That's Jack. And tonight we'll be touching on a couple topics, such as roster cuts, the Flyers goalie situation, and last but not least, we'll talk about Gritty just a little bit. So, Jack, what are you feeling tonight? What do you think? You flyered up?
I mean, I'm about as fired up as you can get for the most part. I just want to see. I want to see the roster really shape. Everybody's starting to get cut. We'll get into that. Obviously, a couple of names I thought still be here are not.
Yep.
And then Weiss scored the other night, which makes me think that he's going to be on the team. It's like how easily fooled these people get, like Hacksaw especially.
My heart dropped when I saw that. I was never so disappointed to see the Flyers score.
My girlfriend was like, "Why are you upset? They just scored." I was like, "Because it's 4-0 in a meaningless preseason game, and one guy I really don't want to make the team just got his second goal of the preseason." I know that Hacksaw's already looking for excuses to get him on the roster, and he's got two really good ones. Because that's how, and same point, Myers makes a really bad pass. He looked really good in camp. He looked good in the rookie game. He looked okay in preseason. I still felt he should have hung around longer than he did. Like Mark Friedman's still with the team.
Yeah, I don't understand that really.
One really bad pass, and it was bad, but he's young.
Yeah.
Boom, instantly sent back. It's like, have you met Andrew McDonald? Like, come on. And speaking of that, of all people to be injured and come back super early, it would be McDonald. Like,
yeah, I know.
How come the guys who matter can't come back this early from injury?
They can't even just do us a favor and stay out another month.
Yeah, and we all have our favorites, like, that we want to see make the team, like Vorobiev. I've been practicing that all week for Vorobiev. Looks great. Playing right now, he's on second line. But let me ask you, as I had alluded to, Felipe Myers was sent to Lehigh Valley. How does that tickle your fancy?
Last week we talked about it a little bit. I wanted him to make the team because, with Racco, Gudis, McDonald, they're going to roll out Foligno. It looks like tonight they got Sanheim and Foligno on the third line. That kind of just baffles my mind. How can you have Gudis and McDonald playing on your second line, and then to send down Felipe Myers? He's a young kid. But I think they have enough, and I'm going to say depth, but I only say depth because they have enough guys that can fill out a top six. At least let the kid play a little bit. Let him play just a little bit. Give him a couple games, and if he doesn't cut it, go ahead, send him down. You know what I mean? But
it's a shame. It really is, because you were looking at Sanheim and McDonald being hurt and missing games in the regular season, and it felt like Myers would have been here and had a couple of real NHL games, because you can have guys for a few games before you have to do something with them. But with Myers, Sanheim will probably be ready right around the start of the season. Maybe he'll miss a few games, but now McDonald's back and right back to his antics.
Yeah.
Gudis is still Gudis. He looks a little bit better. Well, who's one defenseman who doesn't look good? I don't like what I see out of Robert Hagg. He looks very bland.
Really?
Honestly, if Myers blew the door off like Provorov did when he first came in, I really think Hagg would be in the press box and Foligno would be in the NHL, or vice versa, or depending on the injuries, like one of them, maybe both of them don't have spots. Like, he does not look good at all. Like, he went all out to make the team last year, and he was very happy when he was rewarded with it, did everything right. He just doesn't look good at all.
That's a shame, because I was a Hagg guy last year, and they were benching him a lot towards the end. I know he got hurt, but he could never get back on the ice.
And I want to say this is part of the reason why he's starting off slow. He played all last year, pretty much led the league in hits, or pretty close to it.
Yeah.
And because Gudis was so bad, they didn't want to put Hagg with him because he was slow. They're two slower defensemen, so they're like, well, we have to start manning. We're not going to scratch Gudis. So we'll just scratch the guy who's been with us all year, throwing his body around, really trying and caring. So out went Hag, played all year and misses the playoffs. And meanwhile, Gudis who's completely lifeless, a complete shell of his former self. Like, he won't throw hits. He won't get gritty. He's too afraid of being suspended.
First time he said gritty.
He drew it back like way too much. Like, I get it. Like, you say I said gritty? I'm not going to tell you. No gritty. But, like, he got suspended and all that, and I get it. You got to tone it down. He turned it off. Like, you're already not that good to begin with, so we liked you for defending your teammates, making other players fear you, that you're coming and all that, and he was just dead. Yeah. Like, against Pittsburgh, I think it was like game 5 or 6, I don't know. There was a scrum behind the net, and like 2 Penguins jumped somebody. And he just like threw in a left arm out and put it on a guy's shoulder. It's like, dude, get in there. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you don't do anything else. Like, this is what you get paid for, and you're taking time off. It's like, his season was already done. Like, I'm so done with Gudis.
I saw something on Twitter the other day. Somebody was saying Gudis is due for a bounce back year. What's a bounce back year for Gudis look like to you?
I'm not even going to throw out points and assists, because that's not what it's about with Gudis. It's if he regrew his testicles, that would be it. That would be a bounce back. If his testicles bounce back into a sack, that would be a bounce back year for Gudis. If he chose some grit, if he laid some hits, if he's all he's got to do is not be a complete pylon defensively, be somewhat adequate, try to make some smart passes, but mainly give some kind of fear into the other team, or at least make them think twice. Don't let them just walk right in and do whatever they want. Don't let them think they're safe. Don't let them think they can go after the rookies. Like, we got some younger guys coming up. I don't want anybody taking a run at Nolan Patrick or Voiborov or any of these young guys, because Gudis is supposed to be the guy. Him and Simmons are all we got right now. That say, no, you don't come into our house and you don't do this. And, Simmons still does it, but he's going to get himself hurt.
That's what I was going to say. I don't really want Simmons doing that anymore.
Nobody does, especially we want him to play better so we can either trade him or whatnot. If he's doesn't play good, then we re-sign him for a deal that's favorable to the team. If he plays great, we could probably trade him at the deadline. If he gets hurt, he's still going to want the money for a good player. He's got no value because he's hurt. So you see what I'm saying? Like, Simmons can't get hurt is the point. To get the most out of him in either way, him getting hurt is the worst possible scenario. So Gudis needs to be Gudis. Like, in my opinion, he's this close. If he has another season like he did last year, and when I say last year, I really mean the second half of last year is where he really fell off a cliff. If he has a full season like that, he's an AHL player. Like, it's a little dramatic. Maybe he's more of a 7th defenseman, but he doesn't bring much else. He doesn't have a lot of skill. He's not a good skater. He's not a good passer. He has issues in his own end. He can't get the puck out. Like,
what I saw the other day, that he's only 20, 28, 29 years old. I feel like he should be – the way he plays, he's like 34, 35.
Exactly. And it's because he's afraid he's going to get suspended or fined or whatnot. But, like, he's got to do something. He's got to figure it out, because it's embarrassing. Like, he really is a shell of himself. So, like I said, I don't care if he has 0 points and 0 assists. If he just starts laying hits and makes other teams like fear him and gets that back and gets his hands dirty, defends his teammates, really ruffle some feathers, then that'll be fine with me. Like, that's the kind of defenseman I want on my third pairing.
How about this? A bounce back year for Gudis is 10-game suspension.
Well, for him, that might just be like a tripping call, because he is pretty close to getting in a lot of trouble. But yeah, I mean, as long as it's not something stupid like Max Domi slugging Ekblad, he's not even defending himself.
Crazy,
if it's like a legit, like if like say we're playing Pittsburgh and I don't know, whoever takes a run at Giroux and then Gudis comes in and just blindsides him.
That's the only reason he's on this team.
I know, and if he gets suspended for that, I'd be like, well, yeah, what do you expect? It's Philly, bro. Like, come on, you don't do that shit.
Dude.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You just want So anyway, yeah, that would be a
next?
bounce back year for Gudis, is him to be Gudis and not, jeez, I don't even know, Kevin Marshall or some
Christ, that's a
pedestrian
name.
defenseman
Name
who
drop.
doesn't belong in the NHL. Meanwhile, we have to deal with McDonald and his antics, constantly screwing up. Like that bad pass Myers made, that's like McDonald all day.
Yeah.
He does that all the time, and he just falls. He'll just randomly fall.
The only difference is McDonald's gets $5 million a year to do it.
Isn't it sick? It makes me feel sick. Like I remember when they first signed him. Like we gave up, not only we gave up 2 second-round picks for this guy, we re-signed him, and I looked at the length. I'm like, well, shouldn't it be less money if it's that many years? You know, I was kind of like, I thought it'd be one or the other. That was Holmgren, though. He just, you know,
I really can't believe that he's still
he get a
here.
no trade clause too. Like just
Seriously,
everything. He outbids himself. Tomorrow I had the same issue with the Phillies. Man, he just outbids himself. It's stupid, and then that's why we're in the issue we're in. Like, finally can spend some money because we got rid of some contracts, but still stuck with
Myers. I mean, I'm sorry, Gudis and McDonald.
And it's just the thing with, like, you have McDonald and Gudis on the team, and you know, and you're telling me Myers can't make it through camp because he made a bad pass. How silly is this? Like, you made a bad pass, you have to go back to the minors. I'd be like, well, you know, half your starters make bad passes all day long, and nothing seems to happen to them.
There has to be the veteran presence thing between Gudis, McDonald. I guess Ghost is a vet now, right? He's not a young kid anymore.
And he leads by example where the other two don't. No. If McDonald was my leader, I would laugh. I'd be like, this guy can't even stay on his skates. And Gudis, like the old Gudis, would have been a great leader. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But the new one, imagine him getting you fired up in the locker room. He goes out there and doesn't even bother getting into the fight. Like, what?
I hope he's the old Gudis this year, man. But if he's more of the same, he's got to get the hook quick because he doesn't make a ton of money, does he? He makes like what, $3 million a year, something like that. Yeah,
it's around 3 or whatever. It's
like, I don't bench his ass.
Like him, obviously McDonald just waiting for that clock to just end. Gudis, I thought might be able to hang around, but after last season, it was a bad drop off. So
it's still last year for both, right?
What's that?
Last year for both of them.
McDonald's got another year.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, so we have McDonald this year and next. I don't know about Gudis. I forget how long his contract is. Leterre was the guy who was up after this year. And speaking of Leterre, Mr. Tony Montana himself.
A little zinging pep he's playing with over there.
You know, if he was that slow on coke, I can't imagine how slow he is without coke. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on. Apparently, things in Sweden, right? Not Switzerland. I think it's Sweden.
Yeah, let's just call it all the same thing.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, apparently it's more relaxed with like their laws. Like murders, like, you know, max is like 15 years. Something I heard. Like it's get away with more shit. And apparently it was his house, but he wasn't there. I think Michael.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
Didn't Michael Vick say the same thing? Yeah, it's my property, but I don't own any of the dogs. Or
yeah, they just run a business through my house. That's all.
Yeah, they're just in my house. I left the key under the mat. My bad. You know. So what's funny is Mike Richards had an issue in LA with prescription drugs, and they were actually able to terminate his contract. The GM who did that was Dean Lombardi. Dean Lombardi is now with the Flyers. So if he knows anything about how to terminate a contract, it's this guy. So the only thing is it's only 1 year, so it's not a big deal, but they might look into it.
$5 million for 1 year.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I hope they just send him to the minors or cut him. See, if they cut him, you got the couple of years of the cap hit, which won't be.
Oh, okay, yeah, screw that.
And it's such a little amount. I think it's like 1.1 over the next 3 or 4 years. Yeah. I just prefer to have no dead money at all.
Yeah, he stuck it out this long. Why not wait 1 more year?
I mean, at this point, why would you cut him? Just put him on the Phantoms.
Yeah.
You know, like
no one's going to pick him up. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I think they should send him and Weiss down regardless. And even if you want to bring him back up, because Hacksaw cries or something. See if anybody picks these guys up. You never know. You never know. They could grab them, and they don't know as well. They don't see these players as often as we do. They like the contract. They like the years. They're not so much in Letaire's spot, but Weiss, it's only like $2 million or so. It's only this year and next. Well, it's not a big deal. So a lot of teams need to reach the cap floor. You never know.
Weiss is going to be on the starting roster. Mark my words. He's going to be right on that fourth line, that right wing spot, right where Hackstall thinks he belongs.
Well, here's the thing, and I agree with you in some way, shape, or form. I hope he's in the press box simply because Long's done enough to start. Obviously, Vorobiev should be our third line center. A lot of people say
third line, huh?
A lot of people are saying fourth, and the more he plays, it's looking like third. Like it really is. And what the lineup I gave last time is pretty much what I've been hearing. Wheel has done enough, barely. I don't think he's been that good, but he's done enough to make the team. I think Weiss and Lier should be, unless one of them gets sent down, should be in your press box. Honestly, I don't know how many guys they're planning on carrying.
I don't see the point in playing a guy like Weiss. I mean, I understand his game. His game is like, it's not even 5 years old anymore. It's like 7, 8 years old. Like he's a slower grinder kind of player.
He is. He's an old energy guy who was good for Montreal 5 years ago.
It wasn't a good playoff series.
He went to free agency and he only got $2.2 million a year. The 4 years thing was a little odd, but it's not like he went into free agency this guy's really great, like a Joel Ward for Washington, and then the Sharks gave him all that money. So it's just silly. Ob Kubel also got sent down. We were saying it right. People used to say Ob Kubel. It's Albe Kubel. That's how you say it.
Yeah, we had it. We know what we're doing on the show.
I don't think I was saying Kubel. I don't know. I say it differently apparently every time because I just said it wrong. So, so how about we talked about last week? I literally said, as water is wet, Neuwirth will get hurt.
Oh my God, man! Are you kidding me with this? Like, as soon as I heard this news, it's like. Dude, it's like a broken record every single year. Neuwirth is hurt. Neuwirth is hurt. Like, okay, now we just got Elliott. What are we going to do for the backup goalie? Oh, guess what? Who else is hurt?
Dude, he got hurt during a morning skate. Come on.
He's done, man. Like, he's trash.
I have no words. It's unbelievable how often this guy gets hurt. And we're talking about how he's going to have to play 30-something games a year.
Yeah.
Okay. You were over under Flyers start 3 goalies. You know what? You might be right. 3.5, you said, because we might never see Neuwirth. You might never play. It might just be Elliott, Stolarz, and Loin. I don't think they'll put Hart up, and that's your 3. And
it's embarrassing how much he gets hurt. It's embarrassing how much you get. How can you keep rolling this guy out? Like, put somebody else in.
I don't know. It's just sad that I feel bad for the guy. He's a good dude, but
no, I don't feel bad anymore. Stop getting hurt.
It is pretty ridiculous. Like
a couple times I get it, but dude, the whole time you've been here, you're hurt every year.
That, and it's I remember when Romo for the Dallas Cowboys would get hurt a lot. I remember them actually saying he hurt his back on some play, and they were like, "All right, this is ridiculous." What did your dog just take something down?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, sorry everybody.
They thought he had a degenerative bone disease because he's the bones that he was breaking, they shouldn't break that easy. I think Neuwirth might have a similar issue with his ligaments and muscles or something. To play at this level and to have a morning skate after you spent all summer preparing yourself to not get hurt, changing trainers, and go through a morning skate and already be hurt is ridiculous.
That's what I was going to say, man. All the trainers, all the nutrition that these guys get, how is this possible?
I don't know.
What is going on?
It's sad. It's stupid, but whatever. I think Coots is still injured, but he's not. I think he's been all right. He's getting better. Sanheim's still out.
I think he was in the lineup tonight.
Was he? That's good news. I'm not sure.
With Foligno on the third line.
Well, if that's the case, pretty much everybody's coming back. There was a couple other guys like Pascal Laberge who will definitely go to the Phantoms juniors. Feliz, who's been around. Ghost, but he's been fine. Ghost has had a great preseason.
Yeah,
He
he
looks
has.
really good. Oh, the next thing that comes up, because I was talking about how I want to see other guys come up instead. We were talking about Mike Vecchione, and I was like, there's other guys. And one of those other guys I would rather see before Mike Vecchione was Danik Martel.
Oh, yeah.
And as quickly as I said that, Flyers sent him down on waivers, and Tampa Bay picked him up. So he'll have to be on he has to be on their starting roster the whole year, or I think they like lose him or something.
Is that the case? So he's got to be on the big club all year long, the daddy club?
Yeah, otherwise I think he goes right back on waivers or something, or I don't really remember the exact rules, but I liked him. You know? He was a fast guy, but at the same time, a lot of people were upset. If you saw Twitter, excuse me, a lot of people were upset.
Yeah.
Like he's a replaceable guy.
Yeah,
you know
he
what I
is.
mean? If he was really that good, he would be with the big club.
He's been around for long enough too. He should have. He should have.
Yeah, he was never drafted. We signed him. You know, he did go off in juniors 1 year, and he can score. He's an AHL player. He's a good AHL player. I think you can call him up, and he can provide a little speed with some scoring touch at times. I think some teams that are very top heavy, like Tampa Bay, who have their first two lines are like loaded, you know, and then they lose other guys because all their talents with Stamkos and Kucherov and Braden Point,
JT
and
Miller now too. I think he's going to have a nice year.
Everything's they're top. I mean, they're really good. So like everything's in their top two lines. They got a pretty decent like third, I believe. And then they got great goaltending and great defense. But when it comes time to pay a few guys, you're going to see they're going to be all two lines and maybe three defensive players and their goalie, and everybody else is going to be pretty suspect. The only thing is they draft pretty well, so their young rookie contracts might be pretty good. But to fill out the rest of the roster, a guy like Danik Martel on your fourth line, maybe even your third at times, it's not bad, especially when your other two lines are just pounding the other teams. And you got the goaltending and the defense to back it up. So it makes sense for a team like them to have our prospects, and the way our team is right now, he really was never going to make the team unless he like went off. We got too many prospects, too many guys coming. So all I can say is big deal. It's no big loss. I would have liked to seen him here. I liked him in our system. I don't like that we got nothing for him, but that's the rules. That's the way the cookie crumbles. You know, it's nothing worth crying over spilled milk. So
and it gives guys like your boy Knight. What's his name over here? Corbin Knight.
I'm glad you brought him up because there's a lot of talk right now about Corbin Knight making the team. Now, originally, I thought he had more goals. I think he's only got a goal and like 4 assists. He's bad.
A goal and 4 assists is pretty solid for AHL.
The reason they like him, though, here you ready for this? We're gonna blow your mind. He's good on the penalty kill. Right, that was one of their main concerns last year. But the main thing is, guess where he went to college?
You really want me to guess? Give me a hint.
Dave Hackstall was his coach.
North Dakota,
North Dakota under Dave Hackstall. Suddenly, it all comes together. Oh, I see why he's going to make the team now.
Is this a good thing or a bad thing? Then you think, man?
I don't know. I thought it was a good thing. Because he's 28. I thought it was a good thing. Man. Now, all of a sudden, he's making the team because he can penalty kill. And then you find out that Hackstall was his coach and he's his kind of player. And it's kind of like, okay, is he really good enough to make the team? Or is Hackstall falling in love with somebody?
How do you think the guys in the locker room react to that kind of stuff?
I'm sure they have opinions, but I don't think it's anything major. I don't think they know certain guys enough to be like, this guy should be here. You know what I mean?
I mean, if a guy shouldn't make the team and he makes the team.
If he helps them out, they're not going to care. If he's out on the penalty kill and the penalty kill improves, and here's the thing, it could only go up from here. You know what I mean? So I hope that what scares me is I don't want them to go nuts thinking, wow, our penalty kill went from dead last to like third to dead last. We're really good now. Like we have to keep Lappy around. Like, you know what I mean? Like there has to be a significant improvement. And I don't know if this is just a stopgap in the meantime or what. I don't want to say I don't want to make the team, but at the same time, I don't want them to be fooled by their own bullshit. Like if he's not good enough, then he's not good enough. Hacksaw likes him because he does everything that Hacksaw likes. Well, yeah, he used to be his coach. A lot of players who can't make the NHL based on offensive skill, they practice their defensive game. That doesn't mean he can do it against NHL regulars. Not to mention power plays. Like, do you know what Washington or Tampa Bay's power play unit looks like? You're telling me Corbin Knight is going to prevent Stamkos to Braden Point to Kucherov?
So if Corbin Knight makes the team, who misses? Who doesn't make the team?
That's another
who's getting
thing.
cut?
There's no way Vorobyev doesn't make it. So you're looking at Weiss. He could bump Lier. He can even bump Weiss.
I think he could probably bump Lier because he doesn't have a spot.
And then there's Wheel. I don't think that'll happen. I think they want to see what they have in Wheel before they lose him, which we thought we knew, but he had such a weird year last year.
I only saw a couple preseason games, and I'm not sure who he's been playing with, but the game that I watched, he was playing with, I think it was Giroux, and I can't remember the other guy. But he looked solid. I know he's playing with Giroux, but he looked all right. He was moving. He was quick. He was where he should have been, at least in the offensive zone.
Well, that's good. I had read and heard that he was better, to say the least, which is all you could ask for. It's going to be I'm really interested to see if Knight makes the team and what they do, because I don't think they want to send Wheel down. I think they want to get what they can out of him, because now they got to decide whether he's worth bringing back or what. Yeah. I think Lawton's your fourth line right wing. Excuse me. I really do. I think that's it's penciled in. It's just not official yet.
I'm okay with that too. I like Lawton on the fourth line. I don't think you could put him on the third line anymore.
No, because he doesn't have the offense. He's just, I don't know. He's
like the new age Dale Weiss. He's fast. He's gritty. He could score once in a while. No, I'm not comparing him to Dale Weiss at all, but he does what Dale Weiss would have done.
At the very least, I hope he's what we thought we signed in Dale Weiss.
Right.
You know, it sucks because he's a former first-round pick, and you consider that a bust. I mean, it was in the 20s. He's an NHL player, so it's not as big as a bust as you may think. But when you get a fourth liner out of it, you're kind of like, you're upset.
When they drafted him, they compared him right to Mike Richards. I got excited when I saw that.
I did. At the time, I really wanted a defenseman, and Olli Maatta would look a lot better on this team than Scott Lawton does. But it is what it is. Hindsight's 20/20. So in that role, I think he's fine. I think he can be a better fourth liner with given the right players. Like him and Raffle on our fourth line is great. So it's like, as long as we get the center position locked down, okay, let's go. And then you would hope that your third line's better, and you go from there.
They definitely have depth on offense. I'm excited to see what they do on offense.
Well, it seems like our defensive prospects and regulars, for that matter, is where the issue is. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Provorov and Ghost are going to be good. So you didn't see much of Sanheim because of the injury. So you figure he's going to be with McDonald. That's a okay second pairing. It's like there's one thing you really like, one thing you really don't like. And then your third pairing, if it's Gudas and Hag, God bless you. Like that's going to be really tough. And like I said, Gudas is going to have a bounce back. He's going to have to turn to the old Gudas and Hag. He doesn't look good either. So, and on top of that, you got Elliott didn't look good. I didn't even talk about that against Boston.
Oh my God, don't.
He didn't look good. They're saying he's still injured, but come on. Like I know he had core surgery, but he came back last year. Like, this is now a new season. Like, how much time does he need?
If he's still hurt, please, for the love of God, don't play him already. Like, if it's, like, towards the end of the year and you're trying to make the playoffs or something stupid like that, all right, maybe try him out. But it's the beginning of the year. Don't put him in. Like, let him – not that I even want him to play because I was never a Brian Elliott fan and I hated that they signed him. But play the younger guy. You know, let this guy get healthy, blah, blah, blah. You never know. Maybe Carter Hart – he's the guy right away. And if he's not, well, then you have 500 million goalies behind him that can come in and play, you know?
It's to the point where I think they might actually consider bringing somebody in at some point if Elliott goes down, because you don't have Neuwirth. You can't trust his health. Loin's hurt right now. So you're going into the season like Elliott and Stolars, so then now you're going to – if Elliott goes down because he doesn't look good, he doesn't look fully healthy, you going with Stolars and Hart, that's ridiculous. So, they really might consider a free agent. Like, a lot of people were questioning why they didn't bring in Hutchinson. We'll see. At the time, maybe they feel okay. Maybe they'll make a move when the time comes, and not a Mrazek move, not like a third-round pick for a guy, but just somebody to get him by.
I like that name better than Kari Lehtinen, honestly.
I would say
Kari Lehtinen guy.
He's not nearly the same player. I actually thought he was still at Dallas. I made that comment last podcast. Yeah. I would take him if it's a short gap, and then do whatever with him or just cut him. If he wants a job, why not? He's been there before. He's better than he's a lot better than some of the options we have. And he might even just be a body at this point if Elliott goes down. So it's really going to be derail the whole season if they don't do this right. Like I was telling you before, my three main concerns with this team, obviously the goaltending, what we literally just discussed. The defense, which we literally just discussed before the goaltending. And number 3 is the coach. And if he can't get these guys – one thing we didn't discuss that he doesn't do – this team under Hackstall has historically gotten off to very bad starts in games.
They're doing it already, man. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean, if he can just do that, I will consider it like a plus. Like, how about they not in their own building too? That's what really makes me mad. Like, they just come out flat, and they're playing catch up the rest of the game, and it's aggravating. And when he finally gets them to come out strong, they'll tail off at the end of the game. Yeah. I know every team can't play a full 60 minutes every single game, but they don't play a full 60 minutes almost any game.
When you're home, you're supposed to dictate the play. You're supposed to dictate what's going on. You get the final decision for everything. So if you're getting outplayed, I feel like that ultimately comes back to the coach, whether it's the conditioning or whether it's the in-game bullshit. You know what I mean? If it's only happening at home, it's got to be the coach. I mean, you could blame the players if you want, but if everybody's doing it, it's the coach.
Well, I'm telling you, like every game, home or away, they come out flat usually, like 80, 75% of the time. But when you do it at home, it's worse because the fans are going nuts, especially early in the season. And it's like you're supposed to like get in their heads and make them feel uncomfortable and all that stuff. And they're just – preparation is a coach thing. I don't care what you say about the players. That is one of his jobs, to get them ready to play, to have them prepared, and to go out and do it. And like since he's been here, and that's been an issue, and closing out games as well. They used to get by. They don't anymore. They lost a lot of games and went to overtime a lot of times when they shouldn't have because they couldn't close out games. So the first and last 5 to 10 minutes of games need to improve across the board. And that's a coach thing. Like it's been like that. I would say they play 82 games a year. I'd say 65 of those games. I'm not saying it always resulted in a loss, but there's been issues with the first 5 to 10 and the last 5 to 10, if not both, in at least 65 of those games. Like 75% of the games. Like it's a problem. So with the goaltending, the defense, and the coach, if all those things improve, they could challenge for the division. If all 3 of them are bad, they'll miss the playoffs. I'm sure we'll get somewhere in the middle where we get a little of this, a little of that.
That's exactly what I don't want. I mean, I don't want to miss the playoffs, but I was going to ask you. So, I mean, it's hard for me to say that I'm optimistic because every time the Flyers, hockey comes around, I'm excited. I want them to win. I want them to succeed. But I'm always like, yeah, but something's going to happen. There's going to be something that's going to mess everything up. This year, I'm like, you know what? They can win the division. I think they have the absolute potential to win the division, win a playoff series or 2. They have the potential to do it. But the 3 things that you brought up, the 3 most important things is the coach, the defense / penalty kill for me because I think they both kind of tie in, and then the goalies. Like, we don't have a goalie. We don't have a starting goalie.
No, it's tough. It really is, especially to go back to the Myers play, like we all killed Myers. It was a bad pass, and the organization immediately sends him down. But at the same time, when was the last time the Flyers had a goalie who erases mistakes? Like, what if Elliott makes the save? Is Myers still here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like one of those things. Like, we haven't had, like, and I try explaining it to my friends who really don't watch hockey that much, and like, yeah, well, you can't get mad at the goalie. Defense hung him out to dry. It's like, well, yeah, but every now and then you think he'd make the save on a breakaway or something like that.
Yeah, 1 out of 10, just one time.
Like, that's what separates good from great. You know what I mean? And it's like, you can't have a guy who, when you make a mistake, you pay for it immediately. At some point, he's got to pick up your team. Elliott, he did it a little bit last year when they were playing well, but he really hasn't.
He gets blown up more times than that. He gets blown up. He'll make a decent save or two, and then he'll get blown up 5 times.
That's what I mean. And when it comes to bailing his team out, I think he just can't do it. Like, they're not good enough. Yeah. And it's like Mason never did it, and I think that that was one of the reasons why he got shipped out of here. Lundqvist would save the Rangers at times. Quick would save Kings at times. Like, and it's like, well, you can't blame the goalie. Well, sometimes the goalie needs to do something. Like, he's getting paid an awful lot of money, and it shouldn't just be to be positionally sound in certain situations. Like, sometimes he needs to go out there and make a fucking save. Now, 2-0, like, okay.
Getting fired up over there.
Like, if it's 2-0, I'm not gonna, like, kill him for that. That's tough. But if it's a breakaway and he gets faked out of his pads, every time, like, what are you doing? Like, figure something out. Do something different. The shootouts are a thing. Flyers historically bad. You gave up a lot of points last year. 14 overtime losses. Half of that. Win half of those. 7 more points to our 98 points, whatever we have. That's a big difference in the standings.
Yeah, we would have won the division.
Probably, we would have came pretty damn close. And that's all I'm saying.
About, Steve Mason. Steve Mason's name has been floating around a little bit.
No, they'll never do it. They'll never. Don't. I'm telling you, because first off, I really liked Mason when he was first here. Like, when we went to play the Rangers, I think it was 2012, 2013, something like that. And we lost in Game 7. The Rangers went to the Cup. Like, he had a phenomenal year that year. And it just slowly started to trail off. And that happens. The defense got a little bit worse. So we started losing guys, teaming and retired, But what bothered me was he became such a crybaby. Everything bothered him. I don't like how you're using me, and I don't like this, and this isn't fair, and I'm not ready. And, oh, you brought in a good backup. Now I'm scared. Like, what? Like, we brought somebody in because you're faltering. Like, pick it up. Like, hold your hand through everything. And like, once he left here, he completely fell off a cliff. Like, they couldn't wait to get rid of him in Winnipeg. And now
was he there for a year?
He got traded to Montreal. They bought him out. He's just sitting in free agency. He used to be good, but he's such a crybaby. The goalies are that's what I mean by their head cases. And everybody, they're all different. But his was, I had no idea he was that much of a whiner, and he'll never come back, and they don't want him back. They sour on him fast. So yeah, so that, forget Mason. It'll never happen. Both sides have no interest. And I'm not really sure who else is out there besides. I think you mentioned Carey Lettinen, a couple of really
pretty sad list,
guys. But cuts are happening too. I saw a couple of goalies that were good at some point, like Peter Buja. It's like AJ or something. He was a decent backup in Montreal for a bit in the recent history. If they sent him down, they must not be doing too good. I think he was with LA though. So, you never know. I don't think it's something to worry about quite yet. See what happens. And, I really starting to believe when I really think about it, like if things go wrong on the injury front, we really might see Carter Hart. I don't think he'll be up
by default, man.
Yeah, like you really might see the guy. So
he got lit up a little bit tonight. I just checked while we were talking. They're down.
It was all him?
Yeah, through 2 periods, 3 goals on 16 shots.
I have to see the goals. Apparently, maybe one of that McDonald's. Yeah,
I was going to say, let's see who they send down now. Fuck.
Well, a lot of people. It's a good point you bring that up because everybody's been super hyped on the Carter Hart train, and myself included. But he hasn't played a full game yet, at all. And yes, he looked good, and he's very positionally sound, and he's looked good. But until he plays a full game against NHL regulars, I'm not ready to lose my shit.
No.
Especially, I don't even know if I want to throw him in with this bad of a defensive corpse.
No.
Like, you know what I mean?
And that's a good point, actually, too. Yeah.
So I don't want to kill his confidence. Like I said, like we always say, goalies are they're head cases. So
yeah, that's a good point.
So I would rather keep him in the AHL for a year, unless he is like, wins the Vezina in the AHL or is the starter in the All-Star game or something like that. You got to take it slow with goalies. You really do. You don't want to screw them up. So hopefully we get by. One more year, then things should start really changing. Hey, maybe Stallars will surprise us. I seriously doubt it. But
he looked decent while he was up a couple of years ago. I mean, he was never going to be the starter, but he filled in. I thought better than Lyon did last year. I wasn't a big fan of Lyon last year. He played good with the Phantoms.
Well, I think what we'll say is, I know what you're talking about, but I think Lyon had played considerably more games last year than Stallars did when he came up.
Yeah.
Lyon, I don't think he was that bad. I think they didn't trust him because he was an AHL goalie, college free agent they signed. But once he came up and went back down, he really turned it on. Like, he looked good. Like, I would rather have him than Mrazek. Like, Mrazek was Mrazek, believe it or not, Mrazek is extremely talented. The fact that he doesn't know how to positionally play his own position and still is an NHL goalie.
That was terrible, man.
It's almost like one of those guys. Could some goaltending coach like Guru just get a hold of him and teach him the basics, and then say, once he has the basics, let his athleticism take over, he'd probably be a pretty damn good goalie. Like, he's that talented. He just can't get it together. Like, he's the perfect example of that.
Hopefully he doesn't get it together anytime soon, man. I wish he would have got it together here.
Good luck to him. But
So what do you think, man? Heading into next year, you're optimistic or pessimistic?
Going into next year already?
I'm sorry, this year.
Oh, you mean going into next Thursday?
Yeah, next Thursday.
Well, I'm optimistic about the offense. I'm optimistic about the power play. I'm pessimistic about the penalty kill because it's broke. It's completely broken. They've done nothing to fix it. And Corbin Knight making the team ain't going to fix nothing.
Nah.
The goaltending is already having injury issues at the wazoo. Elliott doesn't look good, so I'm pessimistic about that. And the defensive pairings, I'm on the fence because Myers could still be called up. It's not like he got sent back to juniors. We'll see what happens with Gudis. I don't like what I saw out of Hag. McDonald's McDonald. So, excuse me, we're going to have to let that one play out. I'm pessimistic about the coach because I don't know what people who like him, I don't know what they see. Like, they really think that him moving Giroux to wing was like this great decision. Like, they have been talking about that for 2 years. They just never did it. And when they got Nolan Patrick, like, nobody thought they were going to get Nolan Patrick in the draft. Like, you kidding me? We should have the 13th pick. We jumped from 13 to 2. Well,
if they don't get Patrick, I wonder if Hackstall's even still here already, because who the hell would they put for second-line center? They wouldn't have one. Or Giroux might still be playing center.
It would have went like this. It would have went Giroux, Coots. Who was our third-line center last year? Like Flippala, and then it would have been like Vecchione and Laterre or something, So that, and they would have moved some guys to wings and everything, but because they got what you would hope is a franchise center who at the very least is a top 6 center, which is relatively rare, especially to get out of the draft and start the first year. What were they going to do? They're going to put him on the third pairing and have no, they didn't have enough wingers because they never draft wingers. That's why I like Farabee so much. They finally drafted a sniping winger in the first round, a left winger at that. Like, they've been missing a sniper
since Gagne, man.
But yeah, they always draft centers and convert. So now that you got all these centers, it's like, well, we need to move some players around to make our lines better. So we took a center who was a drafted winger and put him on the left wing because we have no left wings. And wow, what do you know? He was pretty good. Well, yeah, Coots was the 8th overall pick of the draft. Giroux's probably going to be a Hall of Famer. And then when they put Konechny up there, his speed just meshed perfectly, and everybody had career years. Like it was. I mean, I give him some credit because they actually pulled the trigger, but I feel like these talks were internal. It wasn't Hackstall just being like, you know what, I need to make this work. I'm going to move Drew to wing. Yeah, that sounds great. I feel like they had a discussion, and we're like, well, why don't we got this guy. Why don't we move Drew to wing? We'll try some other things out here, and there. Okay, that sounds good. I'll do that. You know what I mean? I don't think it was some, like, great decision or anything like that. So
that's a bold statement. Hall of Fame for Drew. NHL Hall of Fame or Flyers Hall of Fame?
Well, definitely Flyers Hall of Fame. He's got the points. I think he can push. If he keeps playing how he's playing, like his point totals are pretty high.
You don't think he's got to win an MVP?
Well, see, that's the problem.
Because he really hasn't won anything.
Yeah, he either needs a cup or an MVP. And since he will never get voted to, it's going to have to be a cup.
Better be a cup, man.
After last year, I mean, these writers, they don't even know what position he plays. That's how bad they are. No, he got votes at center, right wing, and left wing. He only played left wing. He may have, did he have a few games at center, or did they move him right away? I don't remember. I thought they moved him right away.
I really don't remember him playing any games at center because Coots wasn't really hurt all year, I don't think.
No, so they can't even get the position proper because they don't watch, but they have all these bullshit opinions. So yeah, so he's got the points. The points, if he keeps giving him another 2-3 years around the 75 and upwards point range, he'll be up to, his numbers will be there with some guys. He's already passed some Flyers who are in the Hall of Fame on the Flyers list. Like he's only behind like Clark and Bill Barber and maybe a couple other Lindros, or he may be around where Lindros was. I don't know. I know Lindros didn't have a full career, but
a cup would be nice.
We'll see. In a few years, we'll see where the conversation is. So he's definitely worth consideration for sure.
So I got a couple things here. I don't know if you want to wrap this up in a couple minutes, but I got a couple predictions. If you want to do some before the season predictions, because this will probably be, I mean, what are we, a week away from hockey?
Literally a week away.
So, I mean, this will probably be
exactly a week away.
All right. So we're a week away. This will be our predictions for the season. I got point total, playoff round, if you think they make it. Do they make a deadline trade, and what is it, or who is it? And then for Nolan Patrick, I got over under 59 points. So we can start with Nolan Patrick if you want.
All right, for Nolan Patrick, I will say, I like their forwards this year. I'll say over, but not by much.
Okay.
I mean, and that
that's
would be
pretty strong year from your second line center.
I think he's going to get first. I think he'll be on the first power play.
That would be amazing.
20
years old.
I don't think he'll go much higher. It's going to be very close to that number. I think that was a good number. I'm optimistic. Perfect. I like JVR. I think he's poised to really break out. And if things go right, I think he'll hit around 60-something points. I mean, I think he can get like 25 goals and 35 assists. That puts you at 60. I don't think that's crazy. No. 25 is a lot of goals to ask for, but is it? If he plays all 82 games, has a full summer workout, already looks good, gets first power play time, I don't think it's that crazy.
That was peak Braden Shen for us, and this is going to be Patrick's second year. So if he puts up 60 points, 25 goals, maybe 9-10 goals on the power play, that's pretty good.
I know he's not playing Tarasenko, but if he does get number one power play time, like I think he should or eventually will.
He will.
Because he's your heir apparent to when you lose Simmons. He plays a very similar role. Why not just get him there now?
And he played better, I think, on the power play than Simmons. I know Simmons was hurt, blah, blah, blah.
It was a short sample size, but yes, I agree with you. I don't know if he can play that well for that long. I had him around 60 points, and I was like, he'll teeter with 60. 30-30 would be phenomenal. But they always end up getting more assists. Yeah. So I think 25-35 or 23-40 assists, something like that. Like, it's definitely doable. I think 55 to 65 is where he'll fall in that range. So 59 was I'll take the over. I say he just gets it.
Cool. I'll agree with that. I mean, I want to agree with that. I'm trying to be optimistic here. So I'm going to say over 59 as well.
Well, I'm pessimistic on everything else, so I got to be optimistic.
All right, so we got would you want to save points for last? We'll start with the deadline deal, or do you want to do the deadline deal for last? You want to go in order?
Do the deadline deal. I don't. It's gonna. I think if they do, it's because of injuries. It'll be some kind of injury, whether it's another goalie, whether it's a defenseman or a forward. It's gonna come down to injuries. If they're 100% healthy at the trade deadline and they're contending for the division, I could see them, depending on who's available, looking at like I could see them maybe going for a 1-year guy, like a winger. I could see like a sniping winger, or no, I take that back. A penalty killing guy, if depending where they're at. I can see them adding some guy who they can stick on the fourth line who is all about killing the penalties. I would see that before a wing, like a left wing sniper or something like that. I think it won't be a stud. You know what I mean? I don't think even if they're contending, I don't think they're one player away. I think they'll do things to shore up their own deficiencies, which is the penalty kills one. I could see a third line defenseman if they have issues with Hag and Gudis and all that. Foley, yeah, like he doesn't look good either. So I could see that. I don't think they'll go. You're not going to get McDonough.
Nothing sexy then.
What's that?
Nothing sexy.
Exactly. Like very maybe a step above role player, but that's about it. And goaltending, that's different. I don't know who's going to be available and what the price is going to be. If it's really their only deficiency and they can get a guy they think for pretty decent price, and it's only a 1-year thing.
What do you think about Henrik Lundqvist?
Never happen. They'll never do it.
They'll never do it?
Never. They would want like 3 first-round picks.
But I mean, like if they're in contention and he wants to win a cup, you don't think the Rangers will accommodate to his needs? I know they do.
Yeah, it'll never happen.
Would you want him? Would you want him if they could pull a trade off?
He's one of the greatest goalies of all time. Of course, I'd want him. Of course, and he's a good dude. I don't think the price.
He's got pretty eyes.
I don't think the price. I don't think the price would be worth. He's got a nice beard like yours too. I don't think the price would be worth where he's at in his career right now. That's why I think they would. Even if we were a Western Conference team, like, I don't know, like say the Sharks lost Martin Jones and we're like, we need a goalie, and I still think it would cost them through the nose and it wouldn't be worth the return. You know what I mean?
Was that a Laterra joke? Through the nose?
Through the nose? Oh, God.
Ew.
So, yes, I can see them adding like a player like Nick Shore, was actually available for them.
I'd be cool with that.
That similar style of player who will just shore up, like stick him on the fourth line somewhere, and his main thing is to kill penalties and not take penalties in the process. Or I would actually prefer the latter with adding a defenseman who you can play on your third pairing, who maybe should be on your second pairing.
Like a gritty guy.
I don't think that'll happen. So, yeah, that's what but again, if it's going to come down to injuries, at the most, I'd rather see them sell at the deadline, even if they're in contention, like get rid of Neuwirth, get rid of Gudis. You know what I mean? Bring up Myers. Like they did that last year. They added by bringing up Sanheim. They helped their own cause. They could do that again this year. Move some guys off the roster, bring your own guys up, and let's go. And why wait to the deadline? Like I don't think we're that kind of team. Like they can do this shit in November, which they have been historically had a bad month, like for the last, feels like 10 years. Yeah. So, there's nothing wrong with making player for player trades or player for picks, because we got plenty of players. Like you said last week, it's the first time in a long time the Flyers have had too many players.
They have a lot of depth on offense. Go get some defensive depth.
You're right, and we're gonna keep losing guys for nothing, like Martel, unless we start seeing what we got in these guys.
That's a prime example right there. They maybe could have got something for him. Right.
Yeah. Exactly. So let's move some guys along. Let's bring some young kings up. It's okay. They start on the Phantoms with Myers and all that. So that's what I would like to see. I think they stand pat or fill a injury need. That's what I think they do at the deadline.
All right. My pick was Henrik Lundqvist. I'm going bold.
Yeah, it's bold.
It worked for the Phillies until the Eagles started playing. So I don't think it's ever going to happen, but I would like to see them get a goalie. And Lundqvist is the only guy I can think of right now. So there you go.
There's two main factors with that. It's tough. And the first one is hated rival.
Yeah.
The second one is not really the price, but it kind of goes hand in hand. We're just not a goalie away yet. We have more deficiencies, you know?
Yeah, I mean, this is in the hopes that, we're battling. No, when I say battling, I don't mean battling, having a bad season. I mean, like, we're like 20 games over 500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even still, I think I also don't think the Rangers I think they're going to try to rebuild quick. I think they got like the young kids they're going to start signing guys. Like, watch. Like, I almost guarantee you Panarin will be a Ranger. I really believe that. Like, they'll get another high-priced free agent, and they're not bad at drafting. And the trades they made for, like, when they got rid of McDonough and whoever, I like the guys they brought in. Like, they're going to get good quick. Give them, like, 2-3 years. Lundqvist will still be around and probably he won't be nearly as good, but he'll be good enough. And he might have He might have one last hurrah. I think they're going to have – I don't even think he's available at the deadline.
All right. So then we got points. Over, under points. What do you think for points?
I was going to say 102, 103. I think we're better than we were last year. They had 98 points, I think.
Something like that. Yeah, because I think the Caps had 103 and we were like 5 behind. So, yeah.
You got to figure the Rangers and the Islanders took significant steps back. Buffalo took a step forward. I don't know how good Carter Hutton is, though, and they do have other holes.
They're still young.
Tampa's the cream of the crop. Boston's pretty damn good. Toronto added Tavares, but keep in mind they lost JVR and Bozak. Yes, I would make that trade every day. Tavares for Bozak and JVR. I would much rather have Tavares. But they didn't add to their defense. So they have.
That's a good point. That's good that you brought that up because when they lost Bozak, they replaced him with Tavares, but he's the first line center. Bozak was what, the third line center?
Something like that. Their offense is damn good, but they're having issues right now with Nylander. Hasn't been in camp or any preseason games. They're moving on like without him. I'm sure they get him signed, but
he's on my fantasy team.
They didn't address their defense, and until they do that, I think we'll split the series with them. Maybe they get one win over us.
Yeah.
Because their goaltending is better than ours, obviously. So I'm just trying to show you how I'm getting to my points total here. I think one thing with Hacksaw, they got to play good against the bad teams. I don't want to be the only team that loses to the Phoenix Coyotes when they're 0-10 and they beat us in overtime. Like, that was one of the worst games I've ever seen them play. The fact they got to overtime at all was amazing.
Yeah, I remember that game.
They beat the bad teams. Carolina, I don't know. I feel like they kind of stood pat. I think they made a good trade. Their goaltending is still really bad. They lost Jeff Skinner. I do like Dougie Hamilton, though. They have one of the best defensive cores in the league.
That's what I was going to say. They kind of built up their defense, and their offense kind of got a little younger.
Top seven. They're like in that range.
Oh, you think they make the playoffs?
No, I don't think they make the playoffs.
No, me neither.
I think Columbus is going to be tough. Columbus is going to be better than they were last year, I think.
Tortorella always destroys. Is this his second or third year?
I think it's like third. Third, yeah.
Yeah, this is the year that everything comes crashing down for him.
They like him up there, though. They like him. I think Pittsburgh took a little bit of a step back. I think they're still pretty good, though, so who knows? They got to just play them better. They can't just roll over like they have been. The Devils, they didn't really add anything. Like, they made trade deadline deals for Maroon and Grabner. They re-signed neither guy. They really didn't sign anybody. No. And I do think Taylor Hall's going to have a similar year he had last year. I don't.
He could. I mean, I didn't see him having that kind of year last year. I knew that he was a talented player, but I never thought he was – what did he put up, 90 points, something like that? 87 points?
And, he went off. I don't know. I don't see him doing that again. Players don't usually do that.
Who did he play with? He was like the only guy on the team that put up points too. Like, how was he doing it?
I guess Sajak's still there. I don't know if they had him with Heischer. Travis – is it Travis Wood? Or Miles Wood?
Miles Wood, yeah. They just signed him. Yeah.
He's not bad. They traded Henrique, so it wasn't him. What's his name that they drafted right before we drafted Provorov?
Zaka.
Zaka, yeah, Pavel Zaka is like hasn't made it really past the third line. Like, so I don't know. Like, adding Grabner and Maroon, those are goal scorers, they're gritty guys. Like they help, but they just didn't fill any of their holes. And they're talking about Ty Smith. They're talking about Ty Smith making the team, and I don't know. They rushed. I think they rushed guys a lot. So their goaltending was
the team.
The goaltending was weird last year. Like it wasn't Schneider. It was
Kincaid.
What's his name? Kincaid. Yeah. So I think we're a better team than the Devils at this point. I really do.
So do I.
I hope they play them better. They always play us really good. Yeah. Everybody
friggin' plays this good.
I know. The one team that is significantly better, who nobody's talking about, is the Florida Panthers. They added Hoffman. They drafted well. They already have a good team.
They should have made the playoffs last year.
That was like one piece they were missing in Hoffman. So like they're gonna be good. They're gonna be good. Who are we missing out there? Ottawa's a shit show. So you had a couple of bottom dwelling teams. I feel like we're missing teams still.
Yeah, there's a couple, but I mean, you need all the good ones.
Shit show. We still got good goaltending, but they don't have Shea Weber. They made a bad trade for Domi. They're rushing young guys. They just don't have a whole lot,
I hear you. So
I feel like there's more. There's the East took just a little bit weaker, and the Flyers got a little bit better. And then out West, you're not going to see those teams as often. So I feel like we were the best division in hockey. I feel like we're now second best. I feel the Central's the best, with Winnipeg and Nashville and the Stars and those teams and the Blues. Like, that's a good division. I would say it's them, then us, then the San Jose Sharks. Their division was that the Atlantic. They're top heavy, but they're good, and they're better through and through than, or that's the Pacific. Excuse me. So the Atlantic on our side.
The Atlantic is Boston and.
Yeah, like with Boston, like they're top heavy too, but I think that the West is better. The West version is better than the East version. So I feel like, and I also feel like they're not going to go to overtime as much and not going to lose as much in overtime. And I feel like
I hope
that they close out games better. They get off the better starts. I think all is possible. And it's only a 4-point difference from last year, 98 to 102.
Yes, I mean, you figure they maybe don't lose a couple, like maybe 4 or 5 of those overtime games, and it's easy,
I also think they'll be more consistent. I don't, in a good way. I don't think they'll lose 10 games in a row again. I don't think they're going to win 10 games in a row, but I feel like they'll do more. Win 2, lose 1, win 1, lose 1, win 3, lose 2, kind of. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they have been streaky though in the past, but I don't think they'll streak out that bad. So. I think 102. If you told me over under 100, I'm going to take the over, but not by much.
Right. I think that's a good number, 102. So I'm going to say a little bit pessimistic. I'm going to be pessimistic. I want them to do well. I want them to win the division. However, I think that the East is too strong. I mean, they got to play. You named it: the Lightning, the Leafs, Bruins. And then their division is just so tough no matter who they play, whether it's the bottom teams or the top teams, they're all strong. I'm going to go I think they take a step back as far as points. I think their offense is going to do well. But with the defense and the goalie, I'm going to say 97 points.
Oh, so you have them take a step back.
And that's the end of Hackstall.
Well, that would be good. I'd be okay with that. Addition by subtraction there. So, I mean, we'll see, man. We got a week from now, and we're going to be getting into it. So we should get another podcast out before that Thursday night game.
Yeah, and we could do a video, or we could do a podcast, whatever works, man.
I want to see what the final roster looks like, and then we'll get into the power play, the special teams. We'll get into special teams and see what we're maybe a little preview of Vegas, who, in my opinion, got better. So
that's gonna be a tough first game.
It is. They are without Schultz, though. Is it Nate Schultz? Was it? It's that who it was? Who got suspended? Their defenseman.
Schmidt.
Nate Schmidt.
Schmitty?
Yeah. So and so real quick before we go, I got a little trivia for you.
All right, go.
Brian Giunta retired. Can you name the 4 teams he played for?
Sabres, Bruins. I want to say the Sharks for some reason.
Not the Sharks. The other 2 are correct.
Hang on. The Devils.
That's correct. One more. Everybody, this last one's the hardest one.
Hang on. Oh, the Canadiens.
Well played.
Woo!
Well played. Wow, people usually struggle with that one.
I don't know why I said the Sharks for some reason. I don't know why. Whatever.
Yes, whatever. Well done. So, all right. Well, let's wrap it up. And I see you have to go to the bathroom. So I appreciate that text. I will bring it up though. That's how I am. So, and I didn't want to talk about Gritty this week, so we're gonna leave that alone. Okay. We'll give me another week to let it sink in. All right.
Yeah. Nobody make fun of him. All right. He's ours. So don't let anybody else make fun of him. Make fun of him all you want. But if they're from outside Philly,
allowed to make fun of him.
Yeah, that's like your little brother. Like you can pick on him all you want, but as soon as somebody else fucks with him, it's like, okay, now I got to kick your ass.
Little brother. I could think of something a little worse than that, but let's go with that. It's the NHL's fault for making us have a mascot.
Seriously, man.
But all right, well, I guess this time next week, let's do it, and we can finally start seeing some actual games. It's been too long. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
One more week, man.
So am I. Ditto. One more week. We're gonna wrap this up, guys. We'll catch you next week. Let's go Flyers.
Flyers, Yak, sign it off.
All right, later.